Hey everyone, this is Jeff from the Overwatch team. Excited to be here today to talk to you guys a little bit about ranked play. Now I want to set expectations correctly because I don't have a firm design to put forth to you guys. I know that you have a lot of thoughts and a lot of investment in what ranked or competitive play might be for Overwatch. Obviously, you and I both study other games and we think a lot about, which games we really engage with and which sort of ranked or competitive systems mean a lot to us or we get the most out of. So I know you're all very educated about how these systems work, and I don't have the specific design for Overwatch yet because that's what we're exploring internally right now. But I thought it would be useful for us to talk a little bit about goals and philosophy with the system. It's been really interesting because I think a lot of us approach ranked or competitive play from a different mindset. There's some people who come at it from a highly competitive, almost pro gamer, esport, who is the best in the world at this game out of all the people playing it, while others of us want just a more serious place to play the game. Like, I'm going to play Overwatch and I'm going to start this match, and we're not all going to pick 6 Widowmakers just for fun to see what happens at the beginning of the match. Like, we're all really invested, and it's a little bit more serious than quick play. And then I think there's a different mindset of player, which is kind of in between, which is, somebody who's looking for some sense of progression, moving up through the ranks. The more I play this competitive or ranked mode, the more I get a sense of my skill improvement over time. So these are all really tricky things to balance because they all kind of come in different ways. And we can't necessarily please everybody and speak to every competitive player with the same system. So we're going to do our best to try to come up with something that speaks to as many of you as possible. And for those of you who the system doesn't speak to, at least you understand what we were doing and what's cool about it, and you feel like your type of competitive play is available, somewhere else in the Overwatch ecosystem. So, these systems can be kind of tricky because a lot of players, would like us just to stack rank the entire player base and, show me where I'm at. And I often compare this to pro sports. If you think about, let's take baseball, for example, there's Major League Baseball where the top players in the world play. And it's very hard to, have a league like that, have it be balanced, have there be fairness between the teams, have it be a surprise who's going to win the World Series every year. But imagine if, for baseball, you had to take everybody down from a T-ball player to the best baseball player in the world and design a system where they're all competing in the same competitive environment. And in some ways, that's kind of what video games are faced with a lot of times. So we'll try to come up with a system that really is fun for as many people as possible. We'll try not to shave off either end, the lower skill end or the high skill end. We'll try to give you some sense of progression through the system as well, and we'll do our best. We're also wrestling heavily with what should the queue look like? And what I mean by this when I say what should the queue look like is this something that you go in competitively with a full team of 6? Overwatch is a team game. It's about 6v6 competition. So if you want to talk about the real best competition or the highest level of competition, you're playing with 5 other people. There's just no way around that. But we understand not all of us have 5 people we play with regularly enough, and some of us want that competitive feel in some sort of smaller queue size. So whether or not I want to play with my buddy or 2 or 3 buddies or even join the queue by myself, we're exploring whether or not these systems will work for the rank system that we come up with. So we're going to do our best. It gets very tricky. One thing, I'll share this with you guys because you've been so insightful, and I think the discussions in the community have been just, really sensitive towards game design. So I think you guys will get this. But one of the things that is really tricky is the more we enable you to just enter the queue on your own and have to put you with other people, the more you're going to react negatively to the matchmaker. No matter how good the matchmaker is, there's going to be that match where you lost and you feel like it was because of your teammates. Like I said, it is a team game. There are going to be times where you lose because it's your teammates. And psychologically, we're all a lot better off with it when we formed the party ourselves and we knew, oh God, I kind of invited my little brother and he's not that great, but he really wanted to play with us tonight, versus the matchmaker puts somebody in with you who causes the match to go wrong. The other thing that happens that we want to keep an eye on is if we put you in with other people that you don't know and you don't feel comfortable with. Some players have a tendency to react negatively to each other if things aren't going well. And this is a big concern for us. We'd rather have you be angry at the game and be angry at Blizzard and be angry at Overwatch, be angry at me personally, rather than be angry at one another as players. We really want it to be a fun community where you guys like playing together, make friends, make lifelong friends, hopefully, playing Overwatch, and don't turn on each other. So these are things we're keeping an eye on. I can't guarantee we're going to design the perfect system that eliminates all of this, but I kind of want to get out in front of it and let you know that, the more we open up the queue size, the more it's going to open up some of these other issues that there aren't necessarily clean solves for. So this kind of segues a little bit into another topic that I've seen a lot of interest in, and that's how we're doing matchmaking. And I'm really proud of our matchmaking engineer. I think he's absolutely brilliant, and I'm very excited that I get to work with him. And he's done amazing things for Blizzard and previous Blizzard games, but it's a very tricky problem for him to deal with because there are a lot of moving parts to matchmaking in Overwatch that don't necessarily always exist in other games. For example, we have hero switching, which we think is one of the coolest parts of Overwatch, but that means that you're not equally good on all of your heroes. You can now see that we have this career profile part of the system, and you can see which heroes you're doing really well on and which heroes you're kind of struggling with. And the matchmaker doesn't know who you're going to decide to pick at any point during the match. So that's one thing that's interesting. Like I keep saying, I think Overwatch is best played with friends. And we want you to not discriminate against your friends list based on who's good and who's not. We want you to just invite friends because you all want to play together. But that means that sometimes, you're not always going to get match made perfectly because you have somebody really good and maybe somebody not as good on the team. We had a recent case where, somebody complained they got matched with one of the top players in the beta, somebody who's a pro gamer, and they said, why would the matchmaker put me in with that pro gamer? And we sort of studied all the variables that led to that moment happening. And basically what happened was that pro gamer had been waiting for a certain threshold of time. And it was a rather long time. We don't want players waiting too long. And they had gotten put into a match with lesser skilled players, but the matchmaker actually was smart and put an equally good pro gamer against them on the other team. Well, the other opposing pro gamer left during the assemble your heroes time, just sort of left the match. And then we have a choice at that point. We can shut the game down and make everybody wait, or we can just say, hey, we're going to do our best, put another player in so at least these people get to play the game instead of wait and see what happens. And it turns out it was a pretty fair match. It wasn't completely unbalanced. But just sort of want to point out some of these more complex things that can happen with something like a matchmaker. You're always saying, we got to weigh on one hand the skill level of the players and how close of an equal match we can make it. And on the other hand, how long are people waiting? We're also now doing our best to improve connection to the server for people. And I think this has been really cool. We've been doing experiments, and sometimes people in the beta will complain like, oh, queue times are really long, or I didn't necessarily get matched, with the best ping that I've ever seen. But I think, one thing that was really cool over the past week is players in North America, South America, and Australia started to see greatly improved ping times. Now, we need to work out some kinks because they had longer wait times than we would like. but they're starting to see improvements. Players in Europe will start to see a lot of improvements very soon, as will Russia, and the same goes for Asia. So we're pretty excited about all these improvements coming, but just wanted to give you guys, as much information as possible so you know how all this stuff works. It's not that things are bugged or we're dumb or we're not paying attention to what's going on. It's that it's very complex and we need to use this beta period as a way to sort of test and experiment. And the final note I wanted to end on was the beta period itself. Recently, we had talked about in an interview sort of if we had it to do over, we might do this beta a little bit differently. We feel terrible, and me personally, I feel a lot of responsibility and really want to apologize to as many players as possible who wanted to be in the beta and didn't have a chance to play it. Really what it all boiled down to is we want to run what we call a traditional beta, meaning it's small, it's closed, and unless we're testing game balance, game design, or server infrastructure, there's no other point to what we're doing. It's all focused on those three things. But I think what happened was there was a lot of expectations of players. We know this through how many beta signups we had. And, I said recently, I wish we had just called it an alpha because maybe in terms of expectations, that would have set people in a better direction. We're not at the point where we can support everybody in such a way where I think everybody would have a lot of fun if they were playing. I feel like we're doing the right thing. We're supporting the number of players that we can support. But I feel bad because we have such a committed, dedicated community, and I want you guys playing this game as badly as possible. We'll see if we can figure something out. Worst case scenario, the game is going live at the end of spring, like we've mentioned, so everybody will have a chance to play it. Thank you guys for all being very patient with us. I always love chatting with you guys in these developer updates. And if you ever have a topic you want us to cover, please let us know about it. Thanks for your dedication and support, and we'll see you in the next one.